Here's what goes to make a show. Showbiz is the music and lights. Showbiz is the spangles and tights. Stars shining on fabulous nights. Yes, the showbiz, showbiz. Songs, music, your laughter and tears. Crowds cheering, applause in your ears. Showbiz is when Doddy appears. And showbiz, that's what makes it showbiz.
This is Showbiz, and this, my folks, this is Carnival Night. This is Carnival Night, folks, and welcome to this temple of tickleology. How tatty-hilarious, how full of plumptiousness. They can't touch a bit. Not if you've been sponsored. Tonight's show, folks, is all about fantasy. Oh, I can't tell you how excited I feel. Yeah, well, I could, but I get locked up. Oh, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I've got so much to give. You're going to get it, too. I'm going to make you have it. What a beautiful day for taking a scale model kit of Salisbury Cathedral to bed with you and singing to your wife, help me make it through the night. What a beautiful day for pushing an ice cream cornet at Jimmy Hill and saying, is this what you mean by a chinchilla? This is our last show of the series, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe the BBC, they're erecting a statue of me outside the television centre. It's to remind the commissioners not to let me in again. Fantasy, folks. I see myself as a sun-bronzed lifeguard on Brighton Beach, and this lady comes over to me and says, did you swim 3 miles out to sea and save my little boy? I said, well, as a matter of fact, I did. She said, well, what have we done with this cap? See, now, here's a fantastic thing. A fella went into the police station and said he'd been robbed by an elephant. And the police sergeant said, well, was it an Indian elephant with little ears? Or was it an African elephant with big ears? He said, I don't know, it had a stocking over its head. Imagine, gentlemen, fantasize. Imagine now, you're driving in the Le Mans or at Brands Hatch. You're going, who's this silly beggar trying to overtake me? Go on, get out of it. Hey, who heck is a police car? There's nothing worse than when a policeman stops you and sticks his head through your window, especially if you haven't wound it down. Excuse me, sir, do you know how fast you've been travelling? Well, yes, officer, about 29 7/8 miles an hour, wasn't it? You were doing 65 miles an hour then in a built-up area. Was there really? Oh, well, in that case, you want to chase after that cyclist. He's overtaken me twice. You think you're doing it, get away with it, and your wife leans across and says, stop arguing with the policeman. It's all right, officer. Take no notice of him. He's always the same when he's drunk. Never drink. Never ever drink and drive, because the police know if you've been drinking, you know. Your breath stinks of peppermints. This is the most fantastic business. Show business, folks, it's this feeling of being needed. See, everybody needs to be needed. Bakers' wives, they love it. And yes, I try to do my best. I mean, I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I don't mess about with women. I can't understand why I'm so cheerful. We have our fantastic stars of the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see the stars of the audience. A lady, please. Here in our audience tonight, we have Mrs. Phoebe Polish. There she is. Mrs. Phoebe Polish, the cleanest woman in Great Britain. Even her Dalmatian is spotless. A gentleman, please. This is Mr. Leonard Skidmore. Now, you wouldn't think to look at him, but he was a very ugly baby. When he was born, his mother put a cross on his birth certificate because she didn't want any publicity. Here we have Mary Winker. Now, Mary Winker, this is the clever clogs of our audience tonight. She went to Oxford, she would have gone to Cambridge, but her bike got a puncture. Our theme this week, folks, is fantastic show business. And with this in mind, we went to Austria to bring you one of the world's most fantastic magicians. Watch the crazy magic of Otto Wesley. Fantastic. Just a word of warning, though, to any budding young magicians who may be watching in the audience. Please don't go attempting any tricks like that until you know exactly what you're doing. Now, backstage in the dressing room, chance to relax for a few minutes while they get busy on there. I do some good news in. Cyril Smith is to pose nude for the centerfold of Penthouse, to be serialized over 3 editions. Line here about a bit of news, Annie, about a Bradford man who crossed Brian Clough with a parakeet and a tube of superglue. And got a bird that can talk the hind leg off a donkey and stick it back on again. This week, boys and girls, is National Dental Week. National Dental Week, and here's 3 tips which will help you to keep your teeth. See your dentist twice a year, brush regularly, and keep your nose out of other people's business. We asked 100 men about the nicest couple in show business. 100 men. And 30% said Tony Hatch and Jackie Trent. 10% said the Crankies. And 50% said Dolly Parton. But there's one member of my Showbiz team who we haven't had on this series. And here he is. Dickie Mint. Right. How are you, Dickie?
Very well.
Very well, good. And what are you going to do?
Announce the next act.
You're going to announce the next act. And who are they?
The Diddymen.
The Diddymen singing?
A song of the Diddymen.
D-I-D-D-Y!
We are the Diddymen, Doddy's Doddy Diddymen. We are the Diddymen, always have a brand. We're full of diddy joys, we make a gay and diddy noise. We are the Diddymen who come from naughty ash. In diddy socks, diddy shoes, diddy hats, diddy trews. Around the diddy city, we sing our diddy diddy. We are the Diddymen, Doddy's Doddy Diddymen. We are the Diddymen who come from naughty ash. So here's Mick the Marmalizer. He's 2'7" tall, and with his 6-inch shillelagh, so he'll marmalise you all. Here's Evan from the valley. He's travelled very far. So for all the diddy Welshmen, here's a diddy yaki da. We are the Diddymen, inty dinty Diddymen. We are the Diddymen who come from naughty ash. Remember Cocky Leaky, we Hamish, that's his name. He's only got a diddy sporran, but he'll wiggle it just the same. Here's Nigel Ponson Smallpiece, the cream of the elite. Just follow him and you will see his diddy country seat. We are the Diddymen, inty dinty Diddymen. We are the Diddymen who come from naughty ash. How do you heart, how do you do? Our tongues are jumping full in our Italian dance. We're feeling happy hilarious, merry and gay, wherever we are. A diddy parade, a diddy parade. Oh, we are the Diddymen, inty dinty Diddymen. We are the Diddymen who always have a bash. We hope it doesn't rain and wash us down the diddy drain. We are the Diddymen who come from naughty ash. In diddy hats, diddy smocks, money in our diddy box. We march around the circus, touching up the diddy burgers. We are the Diddymen, Doddy's Doddy Diddymen. We are the Diddymen, so let the cymbals clash for the Diddymen from naughty ash. Here we are in the Theatre Snug. This is where we come to have a quiet pint and to meet our pals in show business. And tonight, I'm meeting a chappie. I'd like to introduce you now to my idol. Ladies and gentlemen, one of Britain's greatest comedians, Mr. Arthur Askey.
My dear Ken.
Commander.
Oops, oh, careful, not the booze. For God's sake, be careful.
Arthur.
Yes. Ken?
Very, very funny man, but you're not just a common comedian, are you? Not just a common.
I'm not common.
No, you
Am I a comedian?
You've had about 10
No, I will.
careers.
Ken, you said some very nice things when you introduced me then.
Well, they're all
Can
true.
I, in all sincerity, say something, and I really mean this, playmates, which is my camera. That That one there. No, I mean this in all sincerity, Ken. I've said this on radio, I've said it on telly, I've said it in print, and you, without doubt, are the funniest comedian in this country.
Never.
I really mean it.
No, you.
No, I really mean it.
Clint, you must have worked with hundreds of different acts all over the years and all different balmy people. What was the balmiest act you ever...
No, this was years ago. There was a fella, and he called himself the Great Rudolfo, or something like that. And he was doing no business, playing a very small theatre. But on Friday night, he put up a bill and said, on Friday night, the Great Rudolfo will eat a man alive. So there was no business all week. Friday night, it was packed to the ceiling. Then the Great Rudolfo came out in front of the curtains and said, ladies and gentlemen, and now for my great challenge, a 1,000-pound challenge. I'm going to eat a man alive. Have I a volunteer? Which he didn't expect, but it was a Friday night. There was the usual drunk in, and he went up on the stage. So the Great Rudolfo stuck with him now. So the scene had been set. There was a table with a white tablecloth on, and two of the chorus girls were dressed as nurses, and there was a writing table and a washhand stand. So he said to this fella, now you're doing this at your own risk. You've got to sign this document to say if anything happens to you, it's your own free will and accord. So the fella said, I don't mind, you know. So they took him over to the desk, the two nurses. What time the Great Rudolfo was cleaning his teeth with the washhand stand. Then he put a white overall on, and now they've got this fella lying, stripped to the waist, on the table. So the Great Rodolfo goes across, the lights go down, the music starts, and he goes to this fella, and he bites him there. Oh, through blood. This fella, wow, jumped up and disappeared. And the Great Rodolfo said, well, ladies and gentlemen, the volunteer, and now they're starting throwing things. So he disappeared quicker than the fella. And that was the end of the Great Rodolfo.
You're always cracking gags about your height.
That's right.
But there are lots more small. I mean, Georgie Wood. Georgie Wood. Now tell us about him.
Dear old Georgie Wood. Well, you know, he was a bit of an eccentric. He talked more than I do, and that's it. Oh, you. And he became a convert. He changed over to the Catholic faith and was very earnest about it. And he went on a pilgrimage to Rome, and it appears you stand in a long line and you go in one at a time, kiss the ring, you're in about 15 seconds and out again. Well, Georgie goes in, and he's in 15 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. The Swiss guards are all getting worried now. So they open the door just in time to hear the Pope saying, but I assure you, Mr. Wood, I am a Catholic.
What? I used to listen to you in Bandwagon.
In Bandwagon,
with Norcia Bagwash.
True.
And I have a theory. Norcia Bagwash was really, later, Sabrina, wasn't she?
That's right.
Because she didn't speak.
With a bit more free, that's right. We kept her quiet.
Where's Sabrina now?
Sabrina, well, she had to give up the business.
Why?
She got a throat puncture. She's married, and believe it or not, she's living in Hollywood. Married to a psychiatrist.
Well?
He was going to say feels the bumps.
No! What I was going to say, I was going to drink your health. Young Arthur Askey. Young Arthur Askey.
Cheers.
And I'd like to thank you from myself and from everybody else in Great Britain for being big-hearted Arthur.
Thank you.
And for all the happiness you've given us all over the years, Arthur, as the premier jester, there is a beautiful ceramic jester.
Oh, isn't that marvellous? How about that?
We'd also like to say very big thank you.
Big-hearted. How lovely. And a lovely
tried to bring showbiz comedy from all over the world, Arthur. In 1956 was one of the most refreshing comedy shows of all time. Came from Paris to London's West End. It was called, you remember it, La Plume de Martante. It was a sensational success, and tonight we are privileged to have with us the original stars of that show, here to recreate one of the most memorable moments from La Plume de Martante, Robert Taheri and company.
Frère Jacques. Frère Jacques. C'est l'heure. Allons. Sonnez les matines.
Hey.
So many nights I'd sit by my window, waiting for someone to sing me a song. So many dreams I keep deep inside me, alone in the dark, but now you've come along, and you light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights with song. Rolling at sea, adrift on the waters. Could it be finally I'm turning for home? Finally a chance to say, hey, I love you. Never again to be all alone. And you light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights with song. You light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights with song. It can't be wrong when it feels so right for you. You light up my fantasies. Now, I'll let you all into a secret because I've been picked to play with the England squad in Spain. The other night, see, the phone rang, and it was him, Ron Greenwood. He told me that I'd been spotted by one of his scouts. I was very pleased, actually, because at the time I thought it was measles. Ron Greenwood, he said to me, he said, Doddy, he said, I think you're a brick. Unfortunately, you've been dropped. However, he said, there's just a chance that you will lead a first division team onto the pitch this season. I said, when would that be? He said, if the goat ever goes sick. So I thought, well, let me get some good advice. So I thought I'll ring up Ronnie McKickley, Ronnie McTicklebone. Eventually, I did get through to Ronnie McKickley, there was a bit of confusion until he finally agreed to accept the charges, and his speech was a bit slurred. I think somebody may have laced his barbican with Ribena. What a player he was in his day. It was a Tuesday in 1946. Ronnie McCollum, he's made some wonderful saves. I wish I could get a macro card. I went out into the field training with the England team. The trainer, I put the string round my neck with a live crab dangling from it. He says, this will improve your speed when you're touching your toes. The next day, he was on again. He said, you know nothing about football. You couldn't organise a dust-up in a flour mill. I said, does that mean I'm not on then? No, not at all, he said. I'm putting you in for my job. See, I had a struggle. I've got to find another job because I have a struggle making both ends meet. I do in this suit. And I wondered what they might have down at the job centre. So I went along and I had a word with the girl behind the desk. She said, have you had any experience in vertical boring? Well, I said, I stand up every night telling jokes. She said, do you mind doing shifts? I said, no. She said, clear off then. I was going to be an insurance man, because there's a lot of money in insurance, you know. You can insure practically anything. Dolly Parton, she's insured against a swing to the left. Very strange business, insurance. You see, they have this, these insurance people, they have this Spanish group. They always send in after a fire. Los Adjusters. And insurance has always played a big part in my life. As soon as I was born, my mother decided on a policy. No more. And, see, don't they have some strange terms on insurance documents, like when this policy matures? We used to keep ours in the pantry with the cheese. I have a marvellous insurance policy. You know, I could become a millionaire overnight if our house is ever struck by a sudden downpour of tapioca. You can insure individual parts of your body, usually the most gifted bits, of course. The fellow who lived next door to us, he plays the piano, so he's got his hands insured. Fellow across the road, he's a dancer, so he has his feet insured. The bloke next door to us at the back, he's in a bit of a quandary, the fellow with the 17 children, because he... A, he doesn't know how to fill his proposal form, and B, I don't think he's got the strength to lift the pen. It's all right this week because I've got you, but when I'm not here, I get very lonely, you know. Nobody bothers with me. I don't care. I just get on quietly with my favourite hobbies I've got, like hoovering the cat, cockroach racing, grinding my teeth and clicking me knuckles. At one time I had a little sex appeal, but nobody answered the postcard I put in the sweet shop window. All these fantasies, but the greatest fantasy of all, you know, is show business. Here's our national anthem. There's no business like show business. There's no business like show business like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the critics will allow. Nowhere can you get such a happy feeling like when you're stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Even when you're in a show you know will fold. You may be stranded out in the cold. Still you wouldn't change it for a sack of gold. Let's go on with the show. There's no business like show business like no business I know. Traveling through the country will be thrilling. Standing out in front on opening nights, smiling as you watch the theater filling, and pleasure filling out there in lights. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you opened and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they've hung a star. Let's go on with the show. Things look swell, things look great. Gonna have the whole world on a plate. Starting here, starting now. Honey, everything's coming up roses. Clear the decks, clear the tracks. We've got nothing to do but relax. Blow a kiss, take a bow. Honey, everything's coming up roses. Now it's our inning. Stand the world on its ear. Set it spinning. This'll be just the beginning. Curtain up, light the lights. We've got nothing to hit but the heights. We'll be swell, we'll be great. I can tell, just you wait. That lucky star I talk about is due. Honey, everything Everything's coming up, roses and daffodils. Everything's coming up, roses and daffodils. There's no people like, show people like. They smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you would not go far. That night you opened and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they hung a star. Let's go on with the show. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much for being the most important people in showbiz, the audience. See you soon. Tatty bye, everybody. Tatty bye. Farewell. So long. Good luck. Cheerio. In other words, tatty bye. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Auf Wiedersehen. A bonus nudge. In other words, tatty bye. Oh, I hate to leave you, don't you know? Oh, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. You've got to go. So farewell, so long, good luck, cheerio. In other words, tatty bye.